And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game 1.
Nobody, and I mean nobody, gave the Indiana Fever a shot. Analysts on ESPN dismissed them like they didn't even belong. Odds makers treated it like a joke. And the Las Vegas Aces, 2-time reigning champs, expected nothing less than an easy sweep. But on the Aces' own floor, on the exact night A'ja Wilson was crowned MVP, the Fever shocked the entire basketball world by stealing game 1. Think about it, a team down 6 players flipped the script on an entire playoff series with one statement win. And here's where it gets even crazier. What Caitlin Clark told her teammates right after the buzzer has the whole league talking. This wasn't just an upset, this was a warning shot, a message to every team in the WNBA that the Fever are for real. If you're riding with Indiana after this massive moment, light up the comments with a fire emoji and show this team the love they deserve. What happens when a team limps into the playoffs, missing 6 crucial players, written off by every analyst and staring down the defending back-to-back champions? You get the ultimate gut check for the Indiana Fever. A night that was supposed to be a celebration for someone else somehow flipped into their defining moment. A memory nobody saw coming, but no one will forget.
Particular matchup, Aces Fever game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together because my spidey sense is telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
There's no.
From the very start, this matchup was painted as a joke of a contest. ESPN panels didn't just doubt Indiana, they flat out dismissed them. Odds makers set the line so outrageously in favor of Vegas that it was easier to gamble on the margin of victory than on the Fever actually winning. The headlines before tip-off said it all. The talk wasn't about Indiana competing, it was about whether they could simply survive. The Aces were penciled in for another finals run, and the hidden message couldn't have been more clear. If the Fever avoided complete embarrassment, that alone would be considered an achievement.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade, and yet here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA.
And just when things already looked bad, the injury list dropped, and it was brutal. Caitlin Clark sidelined, Sophie Cunningham out, Sydney Colson, Chloe Bibby, Ari McDonald, and Damiris Dantas all gone. That's 6 players missing. The Fever didn't just look short-handed, they looked patched together like a roster being held up by tape and hope. This wasn't simply about being underdogs anymore. People were openly saying they were lucky just to be standing on the floor, as if their season had quietly ended before the playoffs even tipped off.
And then the coaching of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face
Picture the scene in Las Vegas before tip-off. Championship banners hanging above, the crowd buzzing like they're about to witness a coronation. And at center court, A'ja Wilson holding her MVP trophy high. It wasn't just a celebration of her dominance. It was the perfect symbol of the story everyone thought they already knew. Vegas was the powerhouse. Indiana, just the side act. The Fever's first semifinal appearance wasn't treated as history in the making. Instead, their players were brushed aside, barely acknowledged, almost invisible in the spotlight.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
The wild thing about sports is how fast they can flip the script, especially when the outcome feels already written in stone. History is full of those legendary underdog stories. Teams nobody believed in, rosters people said didn't even deserve to share the court, and you could feel those same vibes brewing here. This wasn't just another playoff opener. For Indiana, Game 1 was their shot, maybe their only shot, to kick down the door and prove they belonged. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the entire narrative had collapsed. A night built around A'ja Wilson's MVP celebration was completely hijacked by the Fever, who stunned everyone with an 89-73 victory, their first semifinal win in nearly 10 years. But here's the twist. The biggest shocker wasn't just Indiana as a team. It came from one player who turned that night into her own unforgettable masterpiece.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Woo! Sounds in the chat. Oh! Dub. That's one. Big time.
As every eye in the arena locked on A'ja Wilson lifting her MVP trophy, nobody, and I mean nobody, and saw Kelsey Mitchell coming. This was supposed to be Wilson's night, the defending champs cruising on their home floor, the script already written before tip-off. But Mitchell refused to let Indiana fade into the background. She seized that stage and turned the semifinal opener into her own showcase. By the final buzzer, the entire storyline had flipped on its head, and suddenly, the whole league was talking about her.
Semi-final appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing. So
Kelsey Mitchell has always been recognized as one of the league's purest scorers, no question about it. But let's be honest, she's often treated like an afterthought when stacked against the flashier superstars of the WNBA. Going into this series, the spotlight was all on A'ja Wilson's dominance, or whether Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray would smother the Fever, or even if Indiana could manage to keep pace at all. Hardly anyone was pointing to Mitchell as the player who could change everything. And yet, in classic Kelsey Mitchell fashion, she didn't bother with the noise. She delivered her response the only way she knows how, with her game. No speeches, no hype, just buckets that spoke louder than every doubt and every headline around her.
Yourself.
yeah.
How would you explain to her to make sure that you give yourself grace and give you the flowers that you so willingly deserve?
Ooh, I think the best thing I could have done was I had a list. I had a long list. I wrote down a list of all the times I could have quit being a pro, playing with the Indiana Fever. I wrote down all the people that wrote me off. I wrote it down on a list. I wrote down all the coaches that didn't want me around. I wrote down all the media outlets that didn't want to talk to me. I think that within itself is like, you gotta tell your younger self not to give up on you. Because it's been a lot of times I could have given up when I know a lot of people that talk to me now weren't talking to me, and I know what it was like when they wasn't. So that part is big for me.
Mitchell didn't just put points on the board. She scored in every way imaginable. Mid-range jumpers with defenders draped all over her. Money, fighting through screens and still knocking them down. Automatic. The moment Vegas gave her an inch of daylight, she punished them with deep threes. And when she stepped to the line, perfect. 6 for 6 at the stripe. Inside, outside, and everywhere in between, she was unstoppable. By the end of the night, the box score told the story. 34 points on 12 of 23 shooting, 4 of 6 from beyond the arc, and flawless at the free throw line. It wasn't just efficient, it was ruthless.
Time keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of...
That 34-point outburst wasn't just a great night for Mitchell, it was historic. No Fever player had cracked the 30-point mark in a playoff game since 2012. And here's the kicker. No one in WNBA history had ever scored that much in their very first semifinal appearance. Mitchell's masterpiece now sits in the same breath as icons like Lauren Jackson and Cynthia Cooper. Except she didn't just join them, she passed them. Think about that. In her debut on this stage, facing the defending champions, with the spotlight glued to an MVP celebration, she forced the league to rewrite its record books. That night, Kelsey Mitchell didn't just play, she made history.
5-point advantage for Indy. Trying to go inside. Terrific defense by Mitchell to deny Lloyd. It's Mitchell, guarded by Evans. Screen from Turner. Kelsey Mitchell knocks down another shot.
No one is accountable for Hall.
It's Mitchell. Come on.
And here's the thing, even from the bench, Caitlin Clark felt the full weight of Mitchell's performance. Out with an injury, Clark didn't need a long speech or some dramatic post-game quote. She kept it simple, just 2 words on social media. Kelsey, unreal, that's it. No overthinking, no fluff. Just raw respect from the sophomore phenom to the veteran who carried Indiana when it mattered most. It was a powerful reminder of what Mitchell means to this team, and proof that her impact goes far beyond the box score.
So who's going to step up, and how can the Aces find an edge?
Another good cut to the basket, this time by Turner.
The Las Vegas Aces are running out of time because the Indiana Fever making passes with... That's right.
Boston. Triple team, kicks it out. Kelsey Mitchell.
Even Aces head coach Becky Hammond, someone who doesn't hand out praise easily, admitted after the game that they had no answer for Mitchell, and that acknowledgement said it all. She controlled nearly every possession, bending the game to her will. This wasn't luck, and it wasn't a one-off hot streak. It was Kelsey Mitchell at her absolute peak, leaving no doubt that she deserves to be in every conversation about the most dangerous guards in the WNBA.
You could start on the defensive end. I mean, clearly we had no answer for Mitchell. Couldn't even attempt to slow her down a little bit. I thought it was really poor. Really.
The symbolism couldn't have been louder. On the very court where A'ja Wilson was crowned league MVP, Kelsey Mitchell was busy staking her own claim, almost as if to say, Indiana's got an MVP too, and she's wearing red, blue, and yellow. Yes, it was a career night, but more than that, Mitchell's 34 points embodied the Fever's defiance, their refusal to play the role of background characters. That outburst didn't just fuel a win, it gave Indiana an identity, and that identity wasn't built on one scorer. It came from the entire roster, a swarming defense, relentless hustle, and surprising depth that suffocated the champs from every angle. Vegas was supposed to own the paint, to overpower Indiana with sheer size and star power, but instead, the Fever flipped the script, turning defense and pace into weapons and dominating the one area everyone thought they'd collapse. This wasn't just resistance, it looked like a blueprint, a master plan for how to crack the code of the defending champions.
Hall had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start for Leah Boston.
Definitely the slasher.
Boston and Wilson, 2 former South Carolina players. Asia can't find the bottom of the net.
5'11". Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell 5'8".
Boston up, under, and in.
Really having her battle.
Asia.
At the very heart of this showdown was Aaliyah Boston and the assignment she drew. And let's be real, there are few matchups tougher than staring down A'ja Wilson, the freshly crowned MVP. Wilson is a force in the post, a nightmare who stretches defenses and punishes opponents with constant pressure. Most players might shrink in that spotlight, but Boston, she never flinched. From the opening tip, her mission wasn't to trade buckets with Wilson, it was to disrupt her rhythm completely. The strategy was beautifully straightforward. Make every touch a battle, deny her the comfort of her favorite spots, and contest everything she put up. By forcing Wilson to reset over and over, Indiana found a way to tilt the matchup in their favor.
Who's effort than us? So that's got to change this second half.
Coach, you're shooting under 40 from the field, about 7.
Get about it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Hammond. And let's go over now to Angel Gray. Asia. Spins, counters, doesn't get the mountain.
I am just so impressed.
And here's the thing, it actually worked. Sure, Aja Wilson still walked away with 16 points and 13 boards, numbers that on paper look solid, but the stat sheet didn't tell the full story. Her rhythm was off all night. Every basket felt like a grind. Every possession dragged her deeper into the shot clock, and her usual smoothness just wasn't there. That constant pressure didn't just bother Wilson, it threw off the entire Aces offense, slowly draining the confidence of a team that's used to living off her dominance. No, Boston didn't erase the league's MVP, but she did something just as powerful. She made her look human, and in a game like this, that's a massive victory on its own.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. A great start for Leah Boston.
While Boston set the tone inside, Indiana also needed their perimeter players to rise to the challenge, and Lexi Hull did exactly that. Tasked with guarding Jackie Young, one of the toughest assignments in the league, Hull stayed glued to her every movement. She chased through screens, refused to fall for fakes, and made sure Young never found her usual comfort zones. By the final buzzer, Young's presence was barely felt, but Hull didn't stop there. She stepped up on the other end too, calmly drilling big-time threes when the Fever needed a spark. Her performance wasn't just about locking someone down, it was about fueling her own team's momentum.
5 minutes. One shot. Rebound. Stay high. We're good. Good job, Kels. Keep playing great defense. Yeah. Stay on the ground. Yep. Switch.
And here's the kicker. Odyssey Sims lit a fire under Indiana's offense every time she touched the ball. She played without fear, attacking straight at the heart of Vegas's defense, slicing through lanes and drawing fouls that forced the Aces onto their heels. Her aggressive drives completely flipped the game's rhythm. Instead of the Fever slowing things down, the pace kicked into overdrive, and suddenly it was Vegas, the team usually in full control, that looked unsettled and reactive. Sims had them chasing instead of dictating, and that change in tempo fed perfectly into Indiana's defense, letting them get set and clamp down possession after possession.
Patient there by Brianna Turner. She's been on a couple WNBA all defensive teams, and she has really been key for them on that end of the floor in these playoffs.
Sims, yet again.
That's a tough matchup.
Which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple in the regular season in Asia. And the entire league.
They gave her the opportunity, and she seized it in full. Natasha Howard delivered steady production from start to finish, locking in another huge double-double. She was relentless on the boards, boxing out with precision to generate second-chance looks for Indiana, while on the other end, she anchored the paint with tough, disciplined defense.
Great. Driving, taking the shot.
Brianna Turner didn't need a flashy stat line to make her presence felt. Her length completely disrupted Vegas, challenging shots, cutting off driving, lanes, and forcing anyone who entered the paint to think twice. And the payoff? Indiana actually dominated inside, outscoring the Aces 50-38. What was expected to be one of their biggest weaknesses suddenly became one of their biggest weapons.
I mean, our group has seen it all. We wanted to come in and be the aggressor right away, to make sure that we were dictating on the defensive end, and we were dictating from a pace standpoint. They're champions for a reason. We knew that they were going to make runs. They made a big one in the third, and we responded with a big one. I'm proud of our team. It's one game, it's a long series, so we got to keep the main thing. But to come in here and to be able to steal this one was big.
When the final buzzer sounded, even Aces head coach Becky Hammond couldn't deny what was obvious. Indiana owned every key battle: tempo, defense, and flat-out intensity. Her admission said it all. This wasn't luck, and it wasn't just one hot shooting streak. It was the Fever laying down a blueprint for how they can compete, disrupt, and actually win against the champs. But now comes the real test. Can Indiana duplicate that same defensive masterclass in Game 2 before Vegas makes adjustments? history reminds us that in a best of 5, nearly 30% of teams that lose the opener still find a way to take the series. The Aces know it, their fans know it, and you can bet they'll approach Game 2 like everything's on the line. For Indiana, the next 40 minutes might decide their season. A win sends them home with a commanding 2-0 lead and a chance to close things out in front of their own crowd. A loss, though, flips the script entirely. The momentum resets and the series balance shifts. The question now, can they bring that same urgency, that same edge, and force Las Vegas into another uncomfortable night?
You know, we've got to keep the main thing, and that is us playing to a standard of basketball that we want to have as an Indiana Fever organization and franchise. You know, we've got to keep our layers, you know, the outside, the people in our building, and the people in our locker room. And the thing I'm just so proud of with this group is it doesn't matter who's on the floor, it doesn't matter who's on our roster. They give each other the freedom to be themselves. They empower one another to be themselves and to be the best version of themselves. And every time we've had a change, every time we've brought someone in, every time we've had rotational changes, they're for each other. They live the we over the me. And when you have that, it just gives you opportunities to do really special.
Championship caliber teams don't react to losses the way everyone else does, and the Aces are living proof of that. They've been in this position before, stumbling early, then storming back by adjusting on the fly. That's their true weapon, the ability to figure out in hours what might take other teams weeks to solve. Believe me, they won't look flat 2 games in a row. Expect them to come out firing. Aja Wilson in particular will be on a mission. She hates being contained, and you can bet Las Vegas will make it their top priority to feed her in spots where she can dominate right from the tip. Jackie Young, who was bottled up by Lexi Hull's relentless defense, will be hunting for ways to get free, slipping screens, cutting hard, and trying to create early looks before Indiana can even settle into position. And with Becky Hammon now having seen exactly what the Fever's game plan looked like, she'll have an entirely new strategy ready to roll. That leaves Indiana facing one massive question: can they handle being the ones in control? For a team so used to being the underdog, this is unfamiliar ground. Winning when nobody expects you to is one thing, but backing it up when the champs are throwing their full weight at you, that's a whole new test. Can Kelsey Mitchell stay locked in when the traps and double teams start flying at her? Can Aaliyah Boston once again throw Wilson off rhythm, or does Wilson finally break through with an MVP level performance? These aren't small obstacles. This is the kind of pressure that defines playoff basketball. This right here is what defines a true championship moment. After pulling off something massive, the question becomes simple. Do you crack under the pressure, or do you rise up and do it again? If Indiana can somehow grab Game 2, they won't just hang on to momentum. They'll flip the entire narrative, shifting from surprise spoilers to legit finals contenders. That first win wasn't some fluke. It was Indiana rediscovering its belief, proving that "we over me" isn't just a slogan. It's their heartbeat on the biggest stage. One fearless night, after years of waiting, showed the world exactly what this team is capable of. Even Coach Stephanie White kept it grounded, reminding everyone, we take it one day at a time. We can't look too far ahead because that's when you lose your focus. And that's what makes Game 2 so critical. It's not just the next step, it's the turning point, the moment where one unforgettable upset can spark a finals run that rewrites everything. So the real question, can the Fever keep rewriting history? If you're riding with Indiana, drop a fired up in the comments and show some love for this team. And don't forget, hit subscribe and turn on those notifications so you're locked in for every moment.